Got to make sure you come off mute. Welcome to Fly Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money. Take it away, Lala.
Thank you. Good. Happy Monday, everybody. Today we're talking about synthetic braiding hair and actually the Black beauty industry in itself. A new investigation found cancer-linked chemicals, heavy metals, and other toxins in several popular brands used by Black women and girls. Braids are often worn for weeks at a time and sometimes even months. So that means prolonged exposure to whatever is in that hair. So today we're going to ask some simple questions. But are they really simple questions? What are we putting in our hair? Why are these products still on the market? And why does it feel like products marketed to Black women always come with hidden health risks? We hear it all the time. We're going to get on into this because the beauty industry, regardless of white or Black, to be honest, but Black beauty in particular is one of the biggest things out there that we are consumers of beauty. We're always consuming. We're always doing. You see it everywhere. You don't want to leave your house without looking, putting something on your face. So we're definitely going to talk about this. I have a panel of awesome queens, and we are going to talk about it. We have Marlo Layson, TV and film producer and journalist. We have Tiara Williams, Miss Black Hollywood, our producer, our vocalist, our everything. She sparkles. Renee Williams, clinical research strategist. Debra Williams, DebraWillWin on YouTube, and also our top sister in the place. And then you got little old me, Laura Lalaki, your singing international real estate agents. Ladies, it's Monday. And it's a good Monday. We're always going to claim that because it's already March, right? But I have to ask you this because this actually angers me. Do you currently use the products that we're talking about today? We're specifically talking about the hair industry in this first segment. So do you partake of weaves and braids and things of that nature? I'm going to start with you, Tiara.
You know it. I'll be like, hold on, let me put my hair on. Let me put my ponytail on. But yeah, I mean, I'm a girl that loves hairstyles. I love versatility. And, the way sometimes to achieve that is through hair, braids, wigs. Sometimes you throw a little something on just to look presentable. So the answer to that is yes, I partake in all of the things.
Okay, well, let me kind of follow that up then a little bit because I am going to ask the other ladies, but how long? Is this something that you started doing when you were adult or even when you were younger? Was that used in your household for the beauty?
Yeah, I mean, the first time, if we're talking about just weave, I would say the first time I had any interaction with chemicals, period, was a perm, right? When I was about in second grade. So, I've been on the chemical train for a very long time. But yeah, was definitely introduced to braids. When I was younger, not so much with the weave. We would just get our hair braided like normal. But once I got to high school, probably or junior high, definitely started to like wear a little weave or, get your hair braided, individuals, all the things, all the things that we do.
Yep. How about you, Marlo? Do you partake of these beauty products and how long, if you have?
Well, I don't anymore, but I mean, throughout my whole life, the same thing, whether it's a relaxer, a PCJ, I think I got my first one at 5 or something like that. I wore braids, I've had micro braids, everything, every hairstyle. I've worn a wig, I've worn weaves, I've had sew-ins, and quick weave, like you name it, I have done it. And I don't now, it's just a lazy choice for me. So y'all see, I'm trying to figure out what to do with my lazy choice as it grows. But yeah, I've done it all. And my daughter still, you know, I get her hair braided regularly. Her hair is braided right now. Like, yeah, it's part of Black girl life for sure.
I think it's just a part of our culture, period. It really is. What about you, Renee?
Absolutely, it's a part of our culture, and I like the little ponytails and everything that we have. You want to look cute, so you throw on different things. But also, what do they call it? And I keep forgetting. Protective styles. Okay, so we're always looking for ways to do real quick, protect our styles, and and protect our hair. Comes out that we're not really protecting our hair, are we? We're getting sicker. Or at the time when we're trying to do that, we thinking we're protecting our hair, but they found ways to, or they're putting more increased things in the chemicals to kill us off.
Yeah, I agree. How about you, Deborah?
Oh my goodness. My aunt was a beautician. So I constantly was able to get my hair done. And so I started out with the press and curl, of course, because I'm a 70s baby. And it evolved into that stinky Vigor roll, which smelled like tar. And then went into a relaxer and weaves and braids. And listen, I'm still rocking my braids and all the things. So yes, one employer said he thinks that I had 5,000 hairstyles when I worked with him. So I
Well,
wasn't
it's
counting, but
definitely
he definitely
versatile.
was.
Yeah, you look. I have friends that name all their wigs, so like they enjoy that. Me personally, my journey started when I was young, just because my hair is naturally curly, and my mother didn't know what to do with that, and they would get tangled. So once my sisters moved away from the neighborhood, because she would have her come over and do my hair, she said, "Well, I guess I'll try a perm. I don't know." So she put a perm in my curly hair, and I thought I was supposed to do that. It never stayed. It never took. And then finally, my brother married a beautician, and she looked at me one day and she said, "Get this out." And I was in my 20s, and I was like, ever since then, I've not had any chemicals in my hair whatsoever. So we have all had our journey. But I want to hear from you, our viewership, if this is something that you do, or if you have daughters, because we do have a lot of men who watch us as well. Do your daughters, do they partake in this type of, do you realize that there's chemicals in these things? But let's check out our first video, because we kind of really want to see what he's talking about. I think you're going to kind of find this a little shocking. Let's check it out.
Fortunately, we're seeing again that when a lot of braiding products, often used by women of color, when they're tested, we're often finding potentially harmful chemicals. No, downright harmful chemicals, things like volatile compounds or heavy metals, cancer-causing chemicals. I mean, this is not right. This is not okay. We've also seen this when it comes to things like hair extensions, also hair relaxers, many products that women of color use. One thing I'll say is that, for many women of color, for many Black women, braids, as an example, it's cultural, right? It's not, say, just vanity or preferring a style. It's often part of our culture. I don't know many Black women who've never had braids at some point in their life. And the idea that much of the hair used for braiding could contain these products really makes me concerned for children, for hairdressers, for people who wear braids consistently. There's a lot we don't know. I'm not really sure about the oversight of these products. I don't know what regulatory bodies exist. I don't know how much oversight there is, but there certainly needs to be more, and there needs to be better production and safer production of these products. I encourage us all to advocate for this and to speak up. I also say, I think it's hard to know which brands are probably best. I think it's a bit of the wild, wild west. Consumer Reports has just done some evaluation. If you're able to find other evidence-based sources, that's a way to go as well. But maybe, consider spacing out your braids. Consider using gloves to put in braids if you are a hairdresser. Consider looking for brands based on some of the data we have that may suggest that the product may be safer. But again, I'm not sure how much data we even have. So, not to be a Debbie Downer, but I'm just saying this is an issue. This needs to be changed. This needs to be different. And Black women and women of color, we deserve better.
This is scary. It's very scary. It seems like you always find out these dangers after the fact. They just throw things out there and then they see what sticks to the spaghetti wall and who sues first. But I'm going to tap into you, Renee. Why do you think that this is so prevalent in this industry? Why is this being allowed to be overlooked?
That's a good question. Thank you for asking. So basically, uh, Europe bans about 1,500 chemicals in the hair care business. Here in the U.S., it's just 11. But the FDA, they have so many things to do in the biotech and pharmaceutical device area. They have taken their hands off in regulating the what is cosmetics industry and beauty industry. So basically, the beauty industry they have a carte blanche card to go in there and do what they want to do, and so basically what they're doing is they're attacking us with the birth rates and all of that, and the hospitals. And now they said, okay, well, where they'd love to get their hair done and do their braids and all of that stuff, let's put those chemicals in there. And so they found another way of attack. So, but unfortunately, it's not regulated, and it doesn't. Right now, they don't have to regulate it. FDA is just too busy with other things.
I think, and I love everything that you say, but I'm going to share an experience with you guys where what I really felt that the FDA is nothing but a joke. In 2009, I had the lap band done. And I researched and researched and researched and researched, and everything pointed to it was safe. That thing almost killed me. It put a hole in my stomach, and I had to have emergency surgery to have it taken out. And I didn't really realize how serious it was until I came off of the operating table, and the nurse just said, "Girl, you had no idea," because I was fighting them. Don't take it. Don't do it. Don't take it, because I loved it so much. But after doing the research, guys, FDA don't mean nothing. It really does not mean anything at all. They're the ones who backed it and said that everything was okay. So this does not surprise me at all when it comes to Black beauty products in particular, when, of course, like I said, when white America get a cold, we get pneumonia. So why should they care about us? But with all of this coming out now, Tiara, did you ever think about before now what the hair was made from or is being currently made from?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I was hearing a little static. Uh, I had, but I didn't consider that there was like 169 different toxic, dangerous chemicals in it. You think that there is some type of regulation, or at least I did. I'm like, it can't be that, right? It can't be that dangerous to use this hair. We've been using it all our lives. You just kind of you just get you it, but when I'm thinking about sickness in the Black community and Black women and things that we have to deal with, like fibroids, things that we don't understand why it's specifically targeted towards, like, why does this affect Black women disproportionately, right? Like, there's certain conditions that are like that. And so I start to think of maybe things like this. Like, I never considered that it was this bad. Obviously, you just go along, like I said, go along living your life and you're like, do, everything's great. I always do it. I always buy hair. I always, and it doesn't seem like a big deal. But I think years of consumption, years of use starts to wear on the body and the mind. I don't know. I think I watched a video of somebody saying, that's why Black women's crazy. I was like, just because it's so close to the head. But I mean, I don't know. It's interesting when you start to really think about it.
It is, because a lot of times you don't hear about this stuff until many, 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 many years after you have been a consumer of these products. But Deborah, you gave me a really good list of things that you have actually done yourself. With those products that you have used over your lifetime, have you ever had any itching or irritation from any of those products that you used?
I most definitely did, especially that relaxer. Oh my goodness. you scratch your head or forget right before you go get your hair permed, and your scalp is on fire. Sometimes I couldn't even let it stay in the amount of time for processing. I'd be like, you got to wash it out, almost like Malcolm X. He had to put his head in the toilet bowl
Yes. Oh my God, I remember that scene because of the conch.
because of the
That tells you
conch.
we're going all the way back now. That was pure lie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Pure lie. Can you imagine pure lie seeking into our brains, into our scalps, the way we think, the way we behave, affecting our nervous system? There's a lot that goes into that.
You know, you bring up a really good question, and I'm going to direct this to you, Marlo. You know, we are always trying to fit into the beauty, maybe not so much now because a lot of us have embraced our roots, but for many, many years, we've always wanted to fit into that straight hair type of community that most white people accept. Even when we're thinking about jobs, we want to fit into what we feel would be appropriate for them. How do you think that us trying to assimilate into these other cultures has its effects on us, not only mentally, but as well as physically?
Well, you started with comb, right? And how they used to relax hair with lye, right? And then us growing up, we always gonna grab the no lye relax. Let me get that no lye relax because I'm doing better for myself, right? I think that it is, aesthetically, we've been told that the way we look is not right. If you are in the entertainment industry, it's even more so, right? If you are in a situation, I know a lot of people just like grandparents that still haven't embraced natural hair, and when children come around with natural hair, they're like, what you gonna do with this baby hair, right? Like, so I think that it is a conditioning that many of us haven't shaken. Some people don't want to shake it. I was just having a conversation with a young colleague, and she was like, oh, I found a new way to straighten my leave out for my, and I was like, oh, what is it? And she was like, oh, it's this such and such and such and such. I saw it on TikTok. I was like, girl, that's a keratin treatment. That's just protein, right? It's just another straightener for your hair. I'm like, I don't care what marketing words you come with. There's only but this many hair care products, right? You can put whatever kind of feng shui on it you want, but it's all the same. And I think that there is pressure. She's a young reporter thinking about her career, what that's going to look like. And for her, especially in this current climate, it probably means having her hair straightened. But as a person who had fibroid tumors, and I understand that between what I was doing to my hair and the way that I was eating, it wasn't good for me, right? Now, once I changed the way that I ate, they slowed down, but they didn't stop because I was still relaxing my hair, and it is a slow progression, but all of that stuff is interlinked. I think when I looked up the chemicals in braiding hair, the first thing that popped up was lead. So when you said, Tiara, that's why Black women crazy. Yeah, that's why they're crazy, because of the lead, right? Lead exposure makes you crazy. And it doesn't matter if it's human hair or synthetic hair, the process that they need to take that hair to market for a consumer is still gonna have all of that whatever funky stuff in it. So we gonna do what we gonna do because we all have choices to make. And that sometimes that's at the detriment, right? But it's not just hair, it's fast fashion. They're trying to kill us in 18 different ways every single day, y'all.
And at one point you start asking, pick your poison. Like, I gotta eat this food. I gotta do, it's really interesting traveling abroad. As to, what Renee was saying is in Europe, guys, Portugal doesn't use red dye. Like, that is a no-no. That is one of the first things that they don't use. They use things like juice from beets to dye anything that looks red. However, in the United States of America, that is the first go-to. You see red dye and then things that you didn't even think needed red dye in it in the first place. But we do have a comment, and I'm going to direct this to you, Renee. It says, and you notice the sellers of this hair are Asian or Jewish. They don't care about us. Well, I can't say that I disagree with that. But it also is a thing. We also hear a lot of the Black hair products that we think are Black owned are not. So do you think these other communities see us as a target to get rich off of our suffering?
It's a target to get rich, and why not kill them off is at the same time is to kill two, what is it? Kill a bird.
Kill two birds with one stone.
Thank you. Why not? So yeah, definitely their pockets are lined up, and we love hair. We love to look good, and all of the things. And so they're marketing to us, and they put that sick chemical stuff in here. So yeah, there you go. They sit back in their, I can just imagine they're sitting back there in some type of corner pocket eating their fat lobsters and all of that stuff, and talking about how can we market, what can we do, what can we do. And then, when they're putting things together, they're probably not even thinking about it. It doesn't matter. They're just trying to get that stuff out, mass production, so then, we can buy it.
No, I'm actually with you on that one. I actually see them sitting back there having their little blue lobsters on a yacht, trying to figure out how they're going to do this. Let's look at some of the comments that we have from our family. Armando, we always can depend on you to give us some suggestions for like natural things, because that is your thing, baby. He says, I make my own daily spray from rosemary and lemongrass, but looking to invest in a shampoo ginger plant to make my own shampoo. These people put way too much in our products. And then he says, and then he turns around and says, don't get me wrong, I still use Blue Magic. Like, that's a classic. That's a classic, but it's still out there. Then it says, may hemp become the new natural hair. That would be an evolution of business. I do know a lot of people that do use hemp and henna, but I will tell you right now, henna did not do well with my sister. My sister's head swole up so bad with that, and I wonder what was in that. They claim natural, but literally, what did she have a reaction to? She really could not leave the house for like 3 weeks because her head was so swollen. Then we have Incognizance. I think it's time to wake up and stay away from products or foods that are widely specific to Black people. We are making ourselves susceptible to blow-fair. Yes, we are. Incox says they don't get you through food. If they don't get you through food, they'll get you through the products or services that you consume or utilize. And then he says FDA means nothing, especially in this current administration. Just this past week, guys, they removed a lot of food guidelines. And because of all the smoke screens that are going on around us right now, I bet you didn't hear of all the ones that they removed because they're able to do it in the dark. We have another video, and I would love to look at that and get back into this conversation. Keep it coming, y'all, because I would love to hear what you guys are doing, and then also how can we avoid this or make it better where we can get better. So let's check out this video.
Another one. What? Another poison chemical found in weave and synthetic hair that you need to be aware of because it's doing much harm to our women and men, and that is synthetic fiber materials and plastics, PVC, PET, and the PP. Now, what are they and how are they used? Now, many synthetic weaves for the braiding hair are made from plastic fibers such as polyvinyl chloride, PVC, or polyester, PET, and polypropylene. I'm sorry about that, the PP. Now, these are acrylics or blends. Now, the plastics are manipulated and dyed, coated, heated, and treated to make the synthetic fibers look and feel or move like human hair. Now, the manufacturers add softeners, flame retardants, and stabilizers or colorants. Now, some of these additives are not well regulated, okay? That's the thing. Now, what are the health risks? When the plastic fibers or the coatings degrade with the heat, with styling, the boiling, etc., they can release toxic fumes or VOCs, as I mentioned earlier. Now, skin irritation to the scalp, allergic reactions, long-term exposure to some of the plastic additives like the phthalates, flame retardants. They have been linked to endocrine disruptors like altering the hormones and reproductive problems, possibly cancer. Now, cumulative exposure matters. Even low levels of toxins can add up over time, especially when you wear the weaves or extensions or keep them for weeks. Now, multiple exposure routes, skin contact, scalp, inhaling, especially when the heat or during the styling or the sealing, accidental ingestion, loose fibers, touching the face or the hands to the mouth. Vulnerable populations are children, pregnant women, people with respiratory conditions, sensitivities are at higher risk.
This is frightening. This is absolutely frightening. And you know what? He pointed out so many things in that we don't think about. We're thinking, okay, just the hair itself, but listen to what he said. We breathe it in. It's more than just contact with our skin. These are all things that we don't think about, whether the person who was putting it in, physical contact over and over, not just your hair, professions. My son is a stylist. So these things matter. This is affecting us in so many different ways. But I have also noticed a big uptick of people telling you how to prepare your hair if you are using these type of styles. So Debra, I would like to know if you have heard of any of these techniques that we could use to help lessen these effects, because one of the things that I heard about is soaking your hair in things like vinegar before you actually put it in. Do you have any tips that since you've heard about this, that you use to help lessen these things?
Yes, definitely. Washing the hair before using it, soaking it, like you said, in the vinegar to kill some of the chemicals that have been placed on the hair. I One thing I thought about when he was speaking was I remember back in the day when we first started getting our hair braided, they used to burn the ends, and that chemical, because right now I have my hair braided with the synthetic hair, but they would burn the ends, and like that smoke, it would be like a weird smell. And if you do each braid, it's like 50, 60 braids. That's a lot to inhale. I never even thought about it until he said what he said. Over a period of time, just a little bit, just keep getting it done, keep getting it done. So now you think about people with respiratory issues and things of that nature. Now they dip the hair in hot water and they're not burning it, so you don't smell anything anymore. But yes, those are all the ways that you can prepare the hair before using it. And there are companies now that are selling hair without those chemicals in it. There's also a YouTube channel that um, stays on 24 hours a day where they show you how they're making the synthetic hair from fibers and how they're packaging it. I just happened to come across it one day and I was like, in another country, of course, and you see them putting it like on a threading tool, and it's like a metal tool, but there's like a whole bunch of men doing it, and they're making the synthetic hair, packaging it up and everything.
I actually saw one, guys, where they were doing it with their feet, and it just made me on a dirty, nasty threshing floor. And I was thinking to myself, and then they package it and it looks so pretty, and then they get shipped over, and then people put that directly in their hair. But Tiara, I'm going to ask you, like you said, you switch it up. You switch it up sometimes, but when you do switch it up, is it something that you keep in for a long period of time? Because I know you like to switch up styles a lot. So like if you have your braids, how long typically do you leave those in?
No static. Okay. Well, you know what? I am a long. I'll use them. I'll get it done and keep them in for like 8 weeks, 9 weeks. Now that I'm thinking about it, like I'll get it sew in because of the nature of like me working out daily. I always want to keep my hair protected and up, and so yeah, I keep them in for long periods of time. But I did find a black owned hair company that it saw the hair is soft, it's toxic free, and they're right here in LA, but they also ship. So I'm like a die hard. The hair is still affordable. I'm a die hard, so I'll go all the way to Inglewood to get good hair. The only time I don't do it is when I'm like in a rush, but I try to support. First of all, I try to buy black, but I buy from black women, and these are black women that I trust. I've met before. They just happen to corner this market. And so I do. Now I haven't figured out the whole like the hair that actually, not the hair that you can sew in, but at least for the braid hair, they have that. So I try to just buy black owned.
Well, they would definitely be the first choice because, around these pots, we support Black owned businesses. We are definitely making sure that we do that. B1 Family is really good about that and sharing when we know of one, not trying to hoard that information to ourselves, but sharing it out in our communities. Marlo, why do you think the beauty industry isn't more transparent about these ingredients?
I think a little bit they know that the consumer doesn't want to know, right? I don't want to know if my popping lip gloss is going to cause me some, it got some carcinogens in there and I'm just applying it straight to my lips. I think that they know that, they depend on that, right? And I also think that that's where price point comes in, because a lot of times the cheaper the hair, you got to know. Sometimes you open a pack of hair and if it's super cheap, you can smell it as soon as you open it, right? And I shouldn't have bought this. So price point is the first indicator to me. I would love to get the $3.99 braiding hair for my daughter, but I don't. I go ahead and spend a little money for the hair that indicates that it is free of certain chemicals, and it is, it has certain little criteria that they are explaining that they meet, certain thresholds. I mean, you're not going to get away from everything. Even with luxury hair extensions, there are still filler fibers in there because nobody's hair is really thick and luscious enough to satisfy another woman. Like, it just isn't. So you got to add a little bit of extra in there so that you feel like you're getting something for your money. And so I think they depend on, women don't want to know, right? You don't want to know if your blush is about to break your face out. You should know if your blush is really cheap, right? And you should be able to look on the back. And if you can't identify the things that your beauty products are made of, you probably need to skip that. You probably need to go ahead and buy things where you understand the words, or if you look it up, you learn, oh, that's just the chemical word for coconut oil, right? That's not something that's necessarily going to kill me. But I think that due diligence is important, and I think that they rely on women not wanting to do due diligence, because whether a woman has a little bit of money or a lot of money, we all want to look good. And that's why the beauty industry exists to the tune of the billions of dollars that it does, because it satisfies the need for women.
I agree. It doesn't matter what status you're in. You always want to look your best. I mean, that's just being part of a woman, I think. Renee, but that brings on a question. And Marlo said, kind of paying attention to what's in it. Do you currently read the labels on your beauty products?
Absolutely not. I go in there, it's cute, buy it, put it on. And I'm not looking to read it. I'm for our food, yes, I'm reading it. But then now this is enlightening. We have to do it for everything.
You do. Now, when you say everything, I'm also thinking the women that get their eyelashes done, right? I mean, that's extra fluff on there that's right there on your eyes. Guys, about 5 or 6 years ago, I had one little mole. It was the weirdest thing. All of a sudden, it decided it wanted to just pop up, and it was like one of those flat moles. And I was like, well, I can get this off. And I got a product offline that burned my face. And I literally... and it was a Chinese product. I should have known better, but it put a black mark on my cheek, and then it burned it so much that I have still to this day a little white spot of where it took off the thing, but it also took off my skin. So did I read? No, because it was in Chinese. I just knew that I didn't want that little mole sitting right here, and I wanted it off. We have to be better about our skin and our hair, because a lot of times people don't even think our skin is an organ. They just think that, oh, it smells good. Let me just, that smells good. But what's in it? We have some stats. Let's check those out and get back into the conversation. Studies show that Black women are exposed to higher levels of toxic beauty products than any other demographic group in the United States of America. Some of these chemicals have been linked to respiratory issues, hormone disruption, and cancer risk. VOCs can be released when hair is heated with hot water during styling. And testing found lead, benzene, and volatile organic compounds in some synthetic braiding hair brands. Protective styles like braids are typically worn 4 to 8 weeks at a time. Y'all, Black women spend approximately 2.5 billion annually on hair products in the United States of America. And the global hair extension market is worth over 6.3 billion. Billion. This is how big wanting to be as beautiful as you can want to be is costing us. But in the long run, is it costing us more than that?
And I'd like to add formaldehyde is also the products in there too. And we know what they use formaldehyde for.
Tell them, Debra, just tell the truth. Where to use formaldehyde? Yeah, where they use formaldehyde.
Okay, I was looking at Debra. Okay.
Renee. Sorry, call Debra Renee. You call Renee Debra. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry.
They was like,
I'm looking at Debra. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Formaldehyde is used to for the deceased. They
Embalming.
Embalming.
And there you go. And guys, lead is so crazy. Even in real estate, we have like 6 or 7 disclosures that all say the same thing to tell you just how dangerous it is. Like, it's no joke. Same thing with asbestos, and people don't think about that. You just go and tear down a room, and asbestos is there. Those things get in the air. With that being known, Debra, is this going to change the way you are going to be doing your beauty routines, or will you continue with the way that you're going now?
I'm more conscious of it now, more than I have ever been before as I get older. And, I think about my daughter who loves to get her hair done, my granddaughters, they love to get their hair done. And just to educate myself and educate my family and friends so we can do better, especially when it comes to reproductive systems. We want them to be able to produce children and not be hindered by, fibroids from chemicals and, things of that nature. It's really, really astonishing that we spend $6.3 billion on hair care. That is insane. Like, what? But I can understand it because I'm in that percentage. I buy products to try, don't like it. Your house and your bathroom ends up looking like a beauty supply store sometimes. You have to try certain things to see what works well with your hair. In my case, I have 6C hair that hasn't been classified yet. It's very thick and it's very coarse. And so I have to, as my daughter always tells me, Mom, you just have to treat your hair better. You have a great quality of hair. Some people would love to have your hair. You can straighten it. You can wear an afro. You can do all the things. It's just finding out what works well for you naturally.
Yeah, I agree on that. I wish I could get me a nice thick old afro. I'd be rocking that thing out there, but mine just wants to fall flat. See, White said, I've always been skeptical of how things are being produced, from food to hair to nails. We should research everything and how it's created. Okay, Tiara, if that's the case, which we got to be more careful about this. How are you going to now change the way that you look at researching these products that you consume?
Well, I definitely have been driving myself crazy as of late. Like, every day I'm seeing something that has to do with food. Y'all know I'm 75 harding. I'm like trying to, but like, you can't catch everything. But in terms of this, it just makes me think of my fibroid issues. When I think about uterine fibroids, when I think of polycystic ovary syndrome, endometriosis, in terms of fertility challenges that Black women have, like, actually we are at the top of the list in terms of like Black women having fertility issues, like not being able to have children. And I'm finding when I'm thinking about it and we're having these conversations, I feel like they're all linked together. All of these things are related, absolutely. Just because it's up here, all of this is going through here. It's going through our bodies. I think about when I have my hair braided. Sometimes, like if I have my braids in too long, my skin will get irritated. And now that I'm thinking about it, often, like as a matter of fact, the last time I got my hair braided, I was like, I don't want to get my hair braided anymore. I don't like the way it feels. I don't like the way it feels to my scalp. I feel like it makes me thin a little bit, on top of irritating my scalp. Because that's the thing. Like my hairdresser is always making fun of me because I'm like, ooh, 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 gentle, because my scalp is done. It's so sensitive. And now in this moment, as I'm saying it out loud, we talking through it right now. I feel like it's all related. And so it definitely will impact everything that I've when I consider, I mean, I'm gonna drive myself even more crazy at this
I
point.
know you can, but see, you can lose your mind in that to the point where you're also losing quality of life. You hear about people who have, who have issues with food and all that stuff, but all day that's what they're concentrated on. So how do you balance that in your life, and still have a quality of life? But here's one question that I have, and Marlo, I'm going to direct this to you. Maybe you've come across this in some of your journalism. Do you think that companies test products differently on Black women, or do they just test a certain specific group and just assume it for all?
I think it depends on the product. I don't think that this braiding hair is really being tested on anybody. I think that it has just evolved from whatever its origin story is, like back in the day when women first started wearing this. And as it has gained popularity, it's just a mass-produced product, right? I don't think that anybody is sitting back. They know what they put in it because they know what the process is. And chemists can test that hair, and reverse engineer it to find out how it got here. But I don't think that they're doing that, right? I think that some companies test. We found that testing on lab animals is not good, so they don't really do that as much anymore. But I think that in terms of testing women, I think that they just want test groups. I don't think that they're thinking about the differences in our skin. I don't think that they're thinking about anything more than who has the money to buy the product. Typically, that type of thought comes through communities like ours, right? So typically, if that thought is happening in the market, it's because a Black woman or an Asian woman or somebody thought, well, there are subtle differences in skin. So how will this compound versus this compound work? But just the industry at mass, no, it is thinking about bringing products to market as quickly as possible and sell, nothing else.
Well, I find it very interesting that, of course, y'all all know what I say, everything but the struggle. I am seeing a very serious uptick in women, white women in particular, going out and getting these braiding styles. And with that comes a whole different concern, because, everybody's concerned about the little helpless little white ladies who wants to be involved. But they now are using these types of hair care and hair products out here in these streets, and we are seeing a lot of it on social media. I'm wondering if that's going to change the way that the industry looks at how these products are going to be put out now. We have another video, and let's check that out and get back into the conversation. And it's coming. Woo! But if you don't believe me, go check out the ones that are using it, because they ain't doing it right and all the hair is falling out.
Okay, so this Asian lady is telling us
specifically to Black girls contains some of the worst ingredients I have ever seen, and I think it should be outlawed. Like you said, the fragrances, the endocrine disruptors, these harsh detergents, some formaldehyde releasers. Formaldehyde's a human carcinogen. What place does it have in a beauty and personal care product? It doesn't. It needs to be removed. There needs to be better regulations and better protection
for vulnerable populations?
I was doing some research and I looked at Harvard Health, and it said 50% of products advertised to Black women contain endocrine disruptors, which are those disruptors that are going to impact their hormones, increase their chance of things like cancer, infertility, etc., compared to roughly 7% that are advertised to white women. And these endocrine disruptors can impact fertility and increase their chance of getting cancer.
That's frightening. She's telling you what she knows from inside the industry. She's a whistleblower. And more whistleblowers are coming out and telling us these truths. And a lot of times that information gets suppressed. But with that being said, Marlo, what responsibility do you think companies have to fix this issue?
They have all the responsibility. They have zero accountability. There's nobody saying to them, hey, you can't operate if you're doing this. There are actually people who are saying, hey, you telling us not to use this, but we have this study that says in this amount, it's barely even toxic if it's toxic at all. And by making these regulations, you are hindering their ability to make money and participate in the free market. And that's all you got to say to take people's lives at risk. That's all you got to say to not care about a whole population demographic of people, is that it is robbing somebody's ability to make money. And that's where we always are going to find ourselves in this country, because we worship it, right? We come together every day, 5 days a week, to talk about ways to make money. But the reality is, the way that this stuff functions in the United States is that money is first and your health is subsequent, right? It's somewhere there after that person's liberty. So there is no regulatory body that's going to take control of this unless the people, us, who use these products start to develop this stuff and bring it to market. Then they steal it. That's another conversation for another show. But there is no, all the responsibility falls on the manufacturer, the seller, distributor, but they're not going to be held accountable. So the responsibility without the accountability is just finger pointing.
Wow. This goes so deep, y'all, because this is stuff that we do every single day. This is not like, we're putting these beauty products, we're using it on our skin, we're getting our nails, and we haven't even touched on the nails. So I'll share with you, I used to get my nails done all the time, loved them, started getting them done when I was in my 20s, when we were getting the designs and all this stuff, and I loved them because I never had thick nails. All of a sudden, about 10 years ago, I started noticing my fingers started swelling, and I couldn't figure out why. Every time I had my nails done, they would swell so bad and get red and irritated to the point. And I was like, oh, no, maybe I'll just go home and soak them. They'll be better. And even when it was time to go back and get a fill, my hands were still raw. They were still red and irritated, and I had to stop putting nails on at all. Now I play guitar and don't need it, but I'm just saying, these are the things that we do all the time. You always hear a lady saying, I'm going to get my hair and my nails done. I'm going to get a facial. We're being marketed to 24/7 on places like TikTok, where people are getting paid. Influencers are getting paid to push you toward paid products. And that brings in a whole nother question. When you have your own people pushing products that are harmful, who do we blame? So Renee, with that, like I tell you, I see all the time on TikTok, people are selling things because they're making money and affiliate money off of these products. Do we have the responsibility as well to inform the people who we are watching us that they are in dangerous territory?
You were just reading my mind, because I want to say something. So what I notice is that lobbyists are there with the government, and they're lobbying for, let's just say, cigarettes. Now, so when they did that, they have to do 15 or 20% research to validate why people could still smoke. And I don't know what the bill is, but I know that there was someone lobbying that we can go to work with our braids and that we have that option. But I'm not seeing anybody lobbying about doing more due diligent research about these chemicals in this hair. So I really, it's not just about the money, but also the fact that no one is in the government or some are having lobbyists for us to say, hey, we have to stop this. We need to start doing more research. And if we be more aware and we stop buying these products, that will push them to start doing more research because they want to sell the products to us.
And that's all they care about. They want to sell it.
Right.
We'll pay somebody not to have the regulation. But, at some point, we also have to take accountability for ourselves. And me personally, I've been offered several things. But if I didn't think it was good for people to use, then I turned it down very easily. Listen, this has really been a great conversation. And this is perfect for Women's International Month. It is March, and we are celebrating all women. And today, before we start winding down, I want to share a woman, a Black woman, that has really made a lot of change in our community. And we honor Dr. Patricia Bath. Dr. Patricia Bath was a physician, inventor, and medical pioneer. And in 1988, she became the first Black woman to receive a medical patent for her invention of the laser phaco probe. And that's a device used to remove cataracts and restore vision. Y'all, my mother did that. She was an early adopter of that and had her cataracts removed. She spent her career fighting for equal access to medical care and pushing for research that served underserved communities. Her work reminds us that innovation in health and science can change lives for generations. So today we honor her and we thank her. If you don't know who she is, make sure that you go and look her up, educate yourself, because baby, they're taking it all away in the streets. So it's up to us to pass all of this information down to the next generation. But because of what she does, I'm going to start with you, Renee. I know you just answered the question, but we're going to wind down with final thoughts and where we can find you. But you also are an advocate yourself for what you do in your business. So what are your final thoughts and where can we find you?
So my final thoughts is that, I'd like to just give everyone immediate steps to what we talked about it, but basically, for stop, looking into synthetic hair, maybe possibly more, doing more research on more natural hair products, and researching the brands, limiting time for wearing this so we don't have it seeping into our skin. And that's just massive things. When you're going to sleep, I'm just like thinking, what is happening while we're sleeping, and all of these chemicals are just leaching into our bodies. So I guess research and being well aware of what we need to do, because there's so many racism isms, but this seems like there is. I saw a comment that someone said bio warfare. Absolutely, it's like it's environmental racism that I feel that's going on right now, has been going on, and that I'm glad that we're raising awareness of what's happening to us. So thank you. I'm Renee Williams. I'm the founder of Tricycle Sync. 70% of us report feeling unheard of our doctors, and they're 3 times they're likely to die from pregnancy complications. So it's time for us to care and take power and control of our own things, your health, your voice, and finally being heard. We are a AI optimization, menopause, and maternal health equity, an all-in-one app. And what we do is that we have Black women so they can track their symptoms, get their stories and receipts that's clear, and then you can present it to your doctor so you can get the necessary help and be heard when you need to be heard about your health. So our mission is safety and self-advocacy. Check us out. Thank you.
I love that. Anytime that we can advocate for ourselves and then have the beautiful tools to do that, we should, because obviously, y'all, we low on the low totem pole. That's not being negative. That's just a fact. We're always thought of last, and we want to make sure that we put ourselves first. Debra, what are your final thoughts and where we can find you?
This was a great conversation today. I'm so glad that we had it. I'm also glad that legislation is starting to get involved with the hair care industry. Just recently, I was at Black Caucus Weekend in Albany, New York, and there were two sessions in regards to the chemical processing of how this hair is created. And they talked about alopecia and all the different things that you get from using the synthetic hair. And I'm just glad that we now have the Crown Act as well. So our government is starting to get involved, which is a great thing for the community, for our community. And this was a great conversation today. My name is Debra E. Williams, and I'm known as DebraWillWin on YouTube. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Debra. Marlo, what is your final thoughts and where can we find you?
So my final thought is, I think Renee made an excellent point. Instead of lobbyists, though, who typically, there are lobbyists, they are the ones that are lobbying for us to keep getting this synthetic hair that is caustic and nasty. Instead of lobbyists, maybe reach out to your local officials. Like Debra said, they are considering bills up in Albany. Well, the Albany law is not going to apply in California. It's not going to apply in Louisiana. So maybe contact your legislators as we're going into this midterm election to have people put your agenda items at the forefront of what they'll be making decisions on. Talk to your state legislators, talk to people who can do something about this, and let them know that you might vote for not them if they can't figure out a way to start talking about things that matter to you. If you care about things that matter, that is what I do. I am Marlo Rayson. I am a journalist out here in these streets, documentarian. I watch things, I report things, I speak to people. I try to have fun conversations, but I also hold people accountable when they need to be. You can look for me. My name is on the internet. Or if you are on the Instagram, you can follow me. That is my IG handle right there at Marlo_. That's it. This was a great conversation because it is very important for us. Health is wealth, and we can't be talking about getting our money up and we putting all the nasty chemicals on our scalp, sleeping down, wondering why we crazy, wondering why we mad, wondering why we manic, wondering why we can't focus. Is probably what's going on at the top. I love y'all.
Absolutely love that. That is so very true. We have health is wealth because if you ain't got that, baby, you can't even have a quality of life, right? Listen, all right, Miss Black Hollywood, what is your final thoughts and where can we find you?
So I got some static. Are y'all good? It feels like
Good.
every time I unmute, I'm good. Okay. All right, guys. It's so good to have a space, and I really truly feel like Fly Nubian Money is ministry, and I'm so excited that we can have this conversation with you all today. I just finished a book this week called Let Them Theory, right, by Mel Robbins. It's my second time reading it, and this time it just kind of penetrated me a little different. You can't really affect. The idea is this: you can't really affect the things that are happening around you, but what you can do is you can just allow those things to happen and let you protect yourself. So I would just say the next time you start to buy things or you're thinking about what to put in your hair or what not to put in your hair, can't really control the powers that be. Yes, reach out like Marlo said, like Debra, but if you ain't got time for all that because you got things and you got business, just control what you can do and start to pay attention to the things that you can and control your inner world, right? And so I would just say that just be mindful, be aware. That's all we're trying to get you to do here. We don't want you to go and save the world and do all the things. We just want you to be paying attention to the consciousness to figure out what's happening with you. With that being said, my name is Tierra Williams, also known as Miss Black Hollywood or Karma J, just depending on the day. And I got a thing coming up. I'm telling y'all because I'm just telling y'all. But I have a thing coming up. I'm doing a content creation summit. I'm really excited. I've invited some of my best friends in Hollywood. Hopefully I've invited Marlo. I'm gonna invite Lala. I've invited Maurice Chestnut. I've invited Tabitha Brown. I've invited friends, y'all. It's going down. But I want to, it's called I Got a Story to Tell. And you can see it right there. The Content Creation Summit is happening April 11th and 12th. I don't have all the information, so don't ask me for the link. I just want you to know this thing is happening, and you will have the link to sign up very soon. But I want to help the future of content creation. I think it's very important. I want to talk about the past, talk about the present, and also talk about where we're going as creatives, as writers, as singers, as artists. Like what is happening and what we should be doing or considering. So yeah, if you interested in knowing more and working with me, I'm at Miss Black Hollywood across all platforms. You can also go to missblackhollywood.net. And I'll talk to you soon.
I love that because I love storytelling. This is why Lala loves music so much. Because, baby, for the longest time, I thought Jolene was a real person and I was ready to go fight her. You hear me? That's good storytelling. So if you want to learn how to do good storytelling, you know, you really do need to go to Miss Black Hollywood. She's excellent at that. And by the way, her album is a great story. So this is your opportunity to go and get it and support local artists. Because guys, you can like all the Grammys you want to, but everybody has to start somewhere. And you might as well start and support someone you know, trust, and you know is good. So make sure that you go and support that. Here's what I got to say. You can't always be on 24/7, but you can be aware of what goes into your body in your home at whatever time it is, not only for you, but to make sure that you're also taking care of your spouses and your children. Really do take the time to do a little bit of research before jumping into what the next big thing is, because that next big thing could be a killer of us all. And we don't tend to find things out till after 20, 25 years later. So we want to make sure that we pay attention and understand what some of those big words really mean. You know, Google and ChatGPT is a really good thing for that kind of thing. And if you don't want to use ChatGPT, there are other ones out there because, you know, I'm having problems with figuring out if I want to stay on that platform too. But it all comes down to you and what you can accept in your life for you and your family to improve your health and your wealth. And all that goes hand in hand. So with that being said, I am Laura Lalaki. I am your Seen International Real Estate Agent, but I also now have a beautiful brand called Seasoned and Seen. It will be completely ready up for you. It's about us people our age, anything over 30, 35. You've seen all these young people doing these TikToks and all this stuff, and you're like, I want to get my brand seen. I want to get out there, but I don't want to dance. But you know you have the value in your head that is valuable to someone else. So you are seasoned, and now we got to get you seen. Go to my website, laurakey.net. Sign up for my newsletter because it will be announced when we start on that with great projects. And I look forward to seeing you on the other side of that. Now, listen, I want to say thank you to everyone who has watched us. We got our regulars here. We got Debra, we got Chris, we got Anonymous, we got Double A, we've got Dennis, we have Incog, we have all these beautiful people. C. White, Black Lexicon, Armando. Thank you. Because without you being here, we wouldn't have a show, right? But if you do miss a show, you always can remember that you can text the word Queens to 87948 and be notified of when our next show is. And then if you miss that, guys, you can go to Spotify. Go to Spotify, take us on the journey, take us on that jog and catch up with everything that we are talking about. Listen, today's conversation reminds us of something really important. Black women drive the beauty industry. Our dollars power a multi-billion-dollar market. So the question becomes simple. If we are the biggest consumers, why aren't we getting the safest products? But that's actually a conversation worth continuing. We thank you. We'll see you tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I hope y'all got some rest from losing that hour this weekend. Be blessed. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.